Reddick is a small farming community unaccustomed to serious crime, especially to a 91-year-old woman asleep in her home midnight Sunday morning.
Someone broke into her home, beat her up, and then sexually battered her.
Touch old ladies, to push her down, to do anything like this, that's a coward act.
Well, one thing is horrible, and why somebody's mama or grandma.
How the man got into the home, unclear, and in the darkness, the victim can't help much with a description.
Next thing she knows, this person is beating her up and then sexually attacks her before leaving.
Investigators here at the sheriff's office say this case is the #1 priority, and they say the victim in this case is clearly a fighter.
I saw pictures of our victim and what this person had done to her, and the fact that she was tough enough to stand up and continue was amazing. To call us and to scream and yell at her attacker and try to fight this person off.
We're told investigators have diligently gathered fingerprints and other evidence from the victim's home, hoping to get a clue to who this attacker is.
DNA, fingerprints, all that has been collected. So hopefully from that, in the coming days, we'll have a little clearer story.
In Reddick, they're still dealing with the shock of it all.
What he did was just wrong. And the whole town ain't gonna like it.
A streak of fear amongst the residents, especially because of the randomness of this and the vulnerability of our victim.
It's clearly one of those highly disturbing cases.
This is very much out of the norm. It's not normal. This is something that's very shocking, even to us as veteran law enforcement officers. And it just, I guess to put it in short terms, it really gets under your skin.
A man breaks into the home of a 91-year-old woman, then beats and sexually assaults her.
Now a manhunt is underway to track down this rapist on the run. You just spoke with a family member of the victim. What did they say?
She told me that elderly woman is still in the hospital and in pretty bad shape, but astonishingly good spirits. I also talked with a lot of people in the Reddick area. Just for context, this is a community of just a few hundred people, so they are not used to crimes like this happening there. They want this guy caught as soon as possible. Reddick is a small community, a one-intersection town. People there largely know each other, and crime is not a part of everyday life.
I really felt safe here, not having to lock my doors.
But the Marion County Sheriff's Office got a call from a 91-year-old woman Sunday around midnight, saying a man had broken into her house, beaten her, and sexually battered her.
You hear about it, but you don't think it'll happen home in a small town like this that you've been, pretty much your whole life in, and you know everybody in the town, and just very, very, very devastating.
A family member of the victim told Fox 35 the elderly woman has a concussion, major bruising across her face and torso, and skin ripped from her arm.
It was terrible. When I saw her, it was even, nobody deserves to be beat like that.
Some people we spoke with Tuesday had already heard about the attack. Those who hadn't were astonished by it.
That's scary. It's very quiet over here. It's real quiet, and if I feel safe, my kids feel safe. So, yeah, it was surprising to hear that.
What makes things even more difficult for the sheriff's office is it was dark when this happened, and the elderly victim was disoriented, so she didn't get a good look at her attacker.
As we process through a lot of evidence, our technicians have gathered quite a bit. So we're hoping that through fingerprints, DNA, and evidence that are collected at the scene, we will come up with a suspect, and that person will be found soon.
The sheriff's office is asking people to keep an eye out for anything suspicious and to check in on those who live alone, making sure they keep safe.
I had a meeting yesterday with all the detectives, and all the detectives at the agency here are on this case, and I can tell if you're the suspect in this case, know that they're all looking for you. The public is looking for you.
Somebody in the community has to know something, and I'm hoping that somebody will speak up, because we definitely don't want this to happen to anybody else.
The sheriff's office is also asking that if you know someone who lives alone, try and convince them to get surveillance cameras up just to keep themselves a little bit more safe. And the family is asking that if you live in the Reddick area and have surveillance cameras, give them a check to see if you notice anything suspicious over the weekend, especially Saturday night leading into early hours of Sunday morning.
Woman was attacked inside her home in a well-to-do neighborhood.
The cops are stumped. It's pretty clear to them, they say, that the attacker was only after one thing, because whoever did this did not take anything from the house, including money and valuable coins that were right there for the taking.
Neighbors of the victim tell me that she was smart, independent, and at one time worked at the lab in Los Alamos.
It is a quiet neighborhood not far from Tanawon in the Far Heights, an affluent area with many retirees, including Geraldine Book. And it was here in her own home that police say she was raped and attacked, injuries that were fatal.
I think that person, whoever committed the crime, is extremely demented. Who would sexually assault a 90-year-old woman? And not only that, a 90-year-old woman who's partially blind and nearly deaf and needs a walker.
The crime happened in January 2010. Police say the elderly woman likely knew her attacker, but police have no idea who he is. They say she had a caretaker during the week, but was alone on the weekend when the attack happened. They think Geraldine opened the door and let her rapist inside. Her caretaker arrived Monday, found her, and called an ambulance. When Geraldine Book arrived at the hospital,
She did make some utterances in and out of consciousness where she stated that to get a man off her, get this man off me, and also stated that he was trying to rape me.
Police tell News 13 Geraldine Book had 27 injuries and another 7 or 8 injuries from the sexual assault. Book died a few days later.
She did not know many people. We were probably her closest friends and helped her out more than anybody else in the neighborhood.
Nearly 2 years after the crime, Book's neighbors are still trying to figure out how something like this happened to the friend they called Jerry.
All right, there was not much evidence in the home. Police say Geraldine Book's caretaker cleaned up the scene after calling an ambulance. She thought the woman had simply hurt herself in a fall.
Now, because that guy who did this is still out there, APD really wants to solve this one. It is their crime of the week, and there is a cash reward for information that leads to an arrest.
Investigators say they've also gathered doorbell and security camera video where they found it, but are asking the community for more.
So a 91-year-old woman was beaten and sexually attacked inside her own home, and tonight a 14-year-old boy is not only charged, they say he confessed to this crime. Here's the mugshot, just released by Marion County, 14-year-old Jesse Stone. Despite his young age, we are naming him and showing his picture due to the severity of the charges he now faces. The 91-year-old called 911 from her home near Reddick around midnight on June 9th, reporting that attack. Back then, Sheriff Billy Woods called this case cruel and vowed to bring someone to justice. In a statement tonight, the sheriff still calls this a shocking case of, quote, unimaginable violence. He says Stone was arrested today and delivered to the Department of Juvenile Justice.
So, do you understand the difference between a truth and a lie?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what the truth means to you.
The truth is what actually happened.
Okay. And what's a lie mean?
Something that's made up or not true.
Okay. Do you remember that night? So when I showed you that video of you walking, so that would have been late Saturday night.
Yes.
Do you remember everything that you did that night?
Yeah, I couldn't go to sleep, so I got up and I headed down the road to watch the cars that are coming from the concert. I've watched the cars looking for modified vehicles for a while, and then I went walking across the street for, I'm guessing, an hour before I came back to my house.
These moments right here are life-changing, especially for young suspects like this who's so young, man. What made him do it?
Where was she at?
On the front porch, sitting in her rocking chair in front of the door.
Okay, gotcha. So what was the last time, like, before then, when you had seen her, or I guess talked with her, like, kind of like you did that day?
The last time I'd seen her before that was probably about, I want to say, a week and a half before. She was driving down the road from like church or something.
Oh, okay.
And she just stopped and said hi real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
My understanding when we spoke the first time, and correct me if I got this wrong, that you, when you were younger, you used to go over and talk with her quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd go over, talk, help her.
So she's never asked for your help to do those types of like household chores, so like laundry or whatever. Okay.
No, I've helped with the laundry machine, but not to do laundry.
Not like you've never done her laundry for her, or bed sheets or anything like that?
No.
You've never like taken a nap or slept in any of her bedrooms or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Do you remember if you've ever been in any of those bedrooms?
No.
No.
No. I've never been in any room other than the living room, kitchen, the bathroom.
Okay. Well, Randy Dunn, I think you probably know that I wouldn't ask that question unless I had a reason to.
Okay.
So, I'm just going to be honest with you because, I mean, I feel like you've been mostly honest with me. And I know your mom's been honest with me. Is it okay if I call you his mom? Yeah. Guardian? Okay. I don't mean to. It's okay, yeah. But when I came over to you on, I think that was Sunday, and I was asking you about your clothes and the video and such, and I explained that I wanted to get your DNA because I knew that you had been over there before because you mentioned, like you told us today, that you had talked with her. So I knew that at the very least, there would be evidence of you being in the porch.
Yeah.
Right? So I went and met with your mom, and you guys signed a consent form, and we got your DNA.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So we sent your DNA and the sex kit up to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Okay.
Okay. Is there any reason at all that your DNA would be on her clothes?
Yeah, we when I said goodbye to her, we hugged, like a slight hug.
Okay.
That's.
Let me be a little bit more specific. Your DNA was on her underwear.
What?
And so I want you to really use this time here to be honest with me about what happened that night, because I think that we know what happened, and I think that your mom knows what happened because she also wrote down a list of times that you went in and out of the house, the time that the call came in. And I think you probably know that you wouldn't be in here unless we had a good reason to put you in.
I don't see what.
It's not about C, Randy John. It's truth.
Yeah,
truth.
It's impossible for my DNA to be on her underwear.
That's what we like to think too, brother, but that stuff doesn't lie, that stuff doesn't get made up. And sometimes the truth can be hard. You seem like a really good guy, man. You seem like you got a good head on your shoulders, you make connections with people that need help, you go out there and you help other people. And there's people out there sometimes that make mistakes.
I'm going to come over here and I want to make sure.
That doesn't make you a bad person for making a mistake. But we just need to understand, like, who is Randy John, man?
I don't even think that.
Investigators say this video shows the 14-year-old boy running from the crime scene in June. Jesse Stone broken into a 91-year-old woman's home in Reddick, watched porn, beat the woman, and then raped her. The crime shocked the community, but DNA evidence led detectives to the boy, and during his interrogation, the recording caught his grandmother urging him to confess.
She didn't deserve that, and I think you understand that, right? You're out of my hands now, unfortunately. There's nothing I can do to protect you. Understand? Nothing I can do anymore. You're on your own against the courts.
Stone was charged as an adult, and eventually in court he did plead guilty to sexual battery and burglary with battery. Now the Marion County judge on his case is set to sentence him this afternoon. The maximum sentence he could face is life in prison.
Jesse Stone looked understandably very scared as he sat in the courtroom. He had recently pleaded guilty to a serious crime, so serious it made national news, beating and raping a 91-year-old woman when he was only 14. With his family sitting behind him, the judge announced his fate.
You're adjudicated guilty and sentenced to 25 years in the Department of Corrections. That's going to be followed by 30 years of sex offender probation.
Jesse knew his victim. He used to mow the lawn for her. On that night in June, he went through an unlocked door, jumped on her, put a pillow over her face, and when she started fighting back, started beating her in the head with his fist. Jesse's grandmother said his mother left him when he was only 5 years old, that during the years she took care of her grandson. He was good, but she started seeing anger build up inside of him.
I said to him, what is going on? Why are you behaving like this? I don't get it. And he says, why does my mother hate me so much?
Watching porn involving elderly adults just before the attack. Jesse's attorney asked the judge to show mercy, that he had a troubled life, is so young.
His actions are egregious.
But the judge was not moved, pointing out that his 91-year-old victim was so badly hurt, she's lucky to be alive. The next step in Jesse's fate, the decision to put him in a facility with people more his own age or in prison with convicted felons, who are adults.
Oh, that's easy. Man, you know he got to go in there with the adults. He raped a 91-year-old woman. Can you imagine the havoc he would have caused if he would have got away with this crime? This boy developed a violent fetish for elderly people. And I have no doubts, Mr. Randy John, when they find out what you did to that old woman, me knowing how that prison system goes, boy, you are going to have a time in there. People are going to go to thinking about their grandmothers, their great-grandmothers, and their aunts and all that stuff. And you very well may get a lot of wreck coming your way because of the heinous crime that you did. And no, I don't feel sorry for this guy either. Yeah, I know he's a kid, but a crime like this shouldn't get you no kind of sympathy from nobody. And that 50-year split sentence, to be honest with you, it really wasn't enough. Until next time. Thank you for watching Prime Crime Network, your source for urban and suburban and around the world news. Hit the subscribe, like, and the notification bell